What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Southern U Podcast, where we seek to provide education for all things land-related here in the South. My name's Taylor McMurtry. I'm joined, as always, the man, the myth, the AL Deer legend himself of
Why
Habitat
can't you start
First
out with you?
Brockage. No, because the
we
people,
start out with the legend.
That's right. The legend comes first. Mr. Matt Brock's here, and Mr. Jeremy Ferguson of Wildlife Consulting Services, Tut Land Company. Anything else that you ask him to do, he can probably handle it.
Maybe.
So, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Today, we're going to be talking about the evolution of southern hunting. I know it's kind of an oddball topic, but we were just kind of sitting here talking off camera about some other stuff, and it's like, that would make a cool episode, just talking about how far things have progressed, even like in our lifetimes, and of course before it. But some of your parents, your grandparents did things, just their hunting styles and stuff, much differently, and things have evolved and changed a lot since then. And some of those things are good. Some of them maybe not so good, depending on what your opinion of them are. But it's something interesting. I feel like it would be kind of cool to shed some light on from a few different perspectives of how things have changed.
The changes have definitely made us more efficient at killing targeted individuals.
Yes, that's right.
Which is the fun part of hunting, is taking a particular deer that you are after, but also you can take that too far.
Oh yeah, you can. You can get kind of.
And we'll get into that.
Well, and that's kind of where I think that it'd be kind of cool to just discuss that topic in some detail.
Yeah,
because you can go too far either way.
Oh, you can.
You can. And then usually, like most things, there's a happy medium somewhere in the middle that makes most sense. So, but. With that being said, we're just going to jump right in here. This could potentially be one of the shorter episodes that we've ever done, but we'll just kind of see how it goes.
Let's make it that way because I got softball games to play.
Yeah,
I know.
I got a 3-hour drive.
3 hour.
And an AR build to finish.
Yeah, there you go. There's the priorities, people.
That's right.
You're not important. We don't care. We got.
Thank y'all for listening. We want to shut this down.
Yeah.
Well, hey. If they listen, I keep getting to buy stuff, so we'll do good.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Or if they listen and hire us. How about that?
There you go.
True.
Hey, speaking of, I'm not going to mention any names. I got a listing out of one of our listeners.
Did you?
Yeah, actually, two.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Can't beat that.
That is really good.
Yeah.
Nope. Thank you, guys. I'm telling you, we say it all the time. I know I say it a lot. But you guys just listening, number one, is like – blows my mind. I can't believe that people would even ever care of what any of us would have to say, but the fact that you do is cool. But also, it also like impacts more than just making us feel good about ourselves, I guess. It does other things beyond just listening to a couple, rednecks blab about stuff.
I mean, because our wives don't listen to us, so got to have somebody.
No, somebody needs to listen.
No, my wife has volunteered herself several times to be on the podcast.
Oh, mine does too. She's like, why don't you ask us to be on the podcast?
Yeah, she's like, there needs to be a wife episode. And I'm like, Brittany, what would we talk about? Like, what would you talk about? And, of course, it immediately goes to, like, murder mystery, documentary, like, type stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not what this is about. So,
that's funny.
Anyways. But just to kind of jump right in here, let's just kind of talk about how it all got started. Primarily speaking about dog hunting, really. I mean, that's kind of how this, as far as
eventually
Southern hunting culture all kind of started for most people. If you talk to your parents, and certainly if you have the fortune of talking to still have grandparents around, and you start to ask them, hey, what was that like when you said you were going hunting? What did that mean? What gear did you have? Like, what did that look like? And that's usually kind of what comes up in conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, most of it sounds like they just hunted in what they had for another purpose.
That's right.
Yep.
A lot of shotgun hunting, a lot of buckshot, a lot of slug shot, not a whole lot of centerfire rifles unless it was a 30-30.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, When is the last time, just out of curiosity, when's the last time you've heard of anyone taking a shotgun to the woods and shooting deer with buckshot?
Well, it was actually, wasn't it prohibited for a few years, and then they gave it
was.
back? I think they put it back in legal.
Did
weapon. They may have. I cannot remember. I don't keep up with that. I've never killed a deer with a shotgun.
Me
ever.
either. I don't know that buckshot.
It may still not be legal.
Is it
I don't
not?
know.
It was prohibited for a while, and it may still be. I
can't remember.
I don't know either, but I just know that if it is a legal means of harvesting a deer, I have not heard of anyone doing it in
I know if you're rabbit
years
hunting
and
and you
years.
get caught with buckshot, they don't like that.
No, not much of a rabbit left.
Right.
Know plenty of guys that do that.
Yeah. But, dog hunting back then, it was a weekend social event.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I mean, they all got together, had a good time,
Yep.
ate, visited, and then they'd go out on stand and hunt for a couple hours and come back and fellowship and
That's it.
have a good time again,
That's right.
Some of them would go back and still hunt that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But they'd hunt, late morning to midday, run those hounds and have a good time, come in and celebrate the deer they shot. And, I will say there were some huge deer that were killed during those days.
Yeah.
A lot of it had to do with the fact that their take of individuals was completely random. You just stopped the game. You stopped the chase. Whatever was in front of those dogs is what got shot.
That's exactly right. And I tell people, just the luxury of managing land across the Southeast, the easiest places that I have had to build them up were dog hunted. Sex ratios seem to be much more consistent. Your age classes seem to be a little more consistent or spread out.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Because harvest is random.
It was. It was just totally random. And now, a couple of the places they shot too many of everything.
Sure.
So we had to build the population up. But the randomness of it made things much easier to build a good, solid herd. Not getting into quality or racks or anything like that, but good balanced age class and good balanced sex ratios were much easier to achieve on those areas.
Yeah, which I think that is interesting because we'll talk about it later, but we've kind of moved so far from that in a lot of ways that it's almost could hurt populations because you're
right the other way.
Taking a very specific age class of deer and not kind of spreading it out some. Is that hurting your population? Potentially. Could it? Yes. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. Like, hey, this was just kind of what people did.
Absolutely.
This was a social.
It was either
time,
Yeah, it was. You had sustenance hunters.
Yep.
Especially back then. I mean, you had people that lived off what they ate, and you still do now. But a lot of people like to say that they're sustenance hunters. I know some guys that say they are. I don't know anybody that's a hunter that lives off of only things that they harvest and things that they grow.
Right.
So I struggle with people calling
It
themselves.
may be a primary source,
Yes.
but it may not. It's not the only source.
Yeah, I struggle with folks saying that it's only sustenance for them. And generally that's the folks that I talk to that want to shoot anything they have in front of them.
Sure.
And look, I know that's a very general statement, and I don't mean that all of them are that way. I'm just saying the ones that I know use that as a crutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Whatever.
Well,
do
and
what you want to do.
Going back to the dog hunting days.
Sorry, Eric. Can't eat the horns.
Yeah.
Just kidding, man.
That's when the deer population in Alabama was growing and actually newly emerging in some areas. Deer populations were not what they are today.
No.
So if they wanted to see deer, they had to get something behind them to get them out of the
push
thicker
'em up.
cover and push them out in the open so they could see them.
Yeah.
Things have changed so much since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and land ownership patterns have changed.
That's the primary reason.
That's a biggie,
Yep.
especially once you get, I'm going to even say Montgomery north. Once you get north of Montgomery, land ownership patterns are much more broken up, dispersed.
Yep.
And it's hard to find enough acres to run a dog club on.
Without impacting other
Yeah.
other people and other recreational uses.
I mean, because when I was at Soterra, we had dog hunting, and we stopped it, and everybody's like, oh, you hate dog hunters. Well, we stopped dog hunting because our insurance carrier was not going to carry our insurance.
That's right.
Because we allowed it. It had very little to do with we didn't want to deal with dog clubs anymore. We wanted to outlaw, that whole thing. It wasn't that. Now, when they started lighting fires because we canceled their hunting club because it was dog hunting, then, we kind of got a little feisty with dog hunters then.
Well, and I think it's important to note, this is not a debate on whether dog hunting is good or bad. We're just talking about the history of Southern hunting culture, and it just happens to start here.
Yep, and honestly, I'm all for dog hunting as long as you've got the acreage.
Yeah.
I've been on dog hunts. I've not actively participated and shot, but I've been on them and been with folks, and man, it's a blast. But it's not my thing.
Stay away from my property.
Yeah, I mean, would I go on a dog hunt? Absolutely. Looks like a blast, but it's just something that we don't do, up here.
Right.
Even places that I can hunt up here, man, the average size, other than the properties that I'm hunting around them, man, they're 20, 40 acres.
Yeah.
You can't run a dog on that.
No.
You can for
15
seconds.
Yeah, for about 10.
then they're gone on somebody else.
That's right.
But yeah, I wish we had the opportunity to have more of it.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
Not now.
Well, and there's probably, don't get me wrong, if you're running dogs and stuff, I don't want you anywhere near my property. That's just me. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying that people shouldn't have access to it or shouldn't be allowed to do it.
We grew up by a dog club. There were actually several dog clubs with several thousand acres around us. So, I grew up with it.
One of the biggest one in the state was over next to
Barry.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Barry. It was a monster.
Monstrosity of a dog club over that way. And they can still run dogs
That's right.
east of 18. Or, no, south of 18 and east of 43, I think it is. But, no, I grew up with it. I go to the woods for a different reason than to hear dogs run. I go for the solace and the quiet and to sit and, enjoy watching deer do what deer do. So it was frustrating at times when they would, run over on our property. But I'm certainly far from being one that thinks that it should be, done away with or outlawed.
Sure.
But like Jeremy said, I just think you need the acreage, the proper amount of acreage.
There's a good way to do it.
Yes.
And there are some really, really, really good dog clubs out there.
Yeah. And I can say, as frustrating as it was, I don't think it impacted our hunting.
Yeah, I don't.
They would run dogs through, or dogs would run deer through in 5 minutes after they go through there. You're sitting there all
it impacts
human
you
mad,
as a human.
It impacts you more than it does the deer.
That's right.
It really does. It really does.
I've hunted properties that were run with dogs the next day. No big deal to me. Still saw deer. Now, I wasn't hunting particular bucks, with that venture, that particular time in life. I was just deer hunting.
Yeah. You'll get the same response from guys that like to coon hunt too. Same deal. But
and that's lost. That's another thing.
Oh,
that's
there's
lost
just not
here.
very many coon hunters anymore.
I'd give anything to have some more real life coon hunters that have good dogs that run coons. And, oh, by the way, when the son of a gun gets to the top, shoot his butt out.
Kill it.
Don't turn around and go to another track.
right.
Shoot that son of a gun.
Kill him and go to the next one.
Yep. I know it ain't worth but 2.5 cents. In
the fur world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worthless. But you're saving some turkey
nest raiding son of a guns.
Yep.
And then, you kind of go from that where, hey, we're just happy to see deer. We're happy to harvest a deer and stuff. And then.
Kind of like we are here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
In the Chernobyl of Marshall County. But then you kind of go over to, I think, you kind of get a little bit more structure from the state, and now there's bag limits in place, and you starting to see where, hey, you can't just.
Cook would be a fine one to have on to talk
He would.
about all that, about
He
how
really
it
would.
changed him and Bill especially. But yeah, I mean, once management started a little more in the 80s and 90s and then early 2000s, we got very, very, very liberal here
See,
in
and
Alabama.
It went very restrictive on doe harvest and,
To very
and
little.
unlimited buck harvest to, now we're going to give you some doe days. Now we're going to give you a whole doe season. Now we're going to give you 2 a day in the late 90s and early 2000s. You kill a buck and a doe or 2 does a day.
Yep.
And then they removed that 2007-ish, 6 or 7, I can't remember.
That's
About
right.
the same time they implemented the 3 buck limit, they took the 2
That's
does
right.
away.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
And now we've gone to a system where we're in zones.
Yep.
yeah.
And it's, man, we're getting there. I mean, we really are. I know a lot of folks think that Alabama doesn't do a good job. They're getting there.
I like the zone management.
Me too.
I mean, I fought hard for that anyway when I was working there. But
And
yes,
I think they've got it about right. I don't remember if we still had one more zone drawn in back when we were, had something to do with it, but I don't. I can't remember.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that that's like where you start to see the bag limits and stuff change.
Yep.
That, of course, I think just by nature that sort of chokes down on what type of hunting you're doing, and
Yep.
those sort of things too. Like you said, management practices start to get a little bit more popular, and I think it's kind of a weird take, but I think as outdoor TV started to sort of take off.
Yeah.
In the 90s, early 2000s, that sort of push when you were seeing people with a camera in the woods
That's
and
right.
killing deer or killing turkeys or whatever on camera, that sort of made people go, oh man, like could we do that here? Can I do that at my place? And I think it's made people start to ask some more questions. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. I mean, the outdoor industry itself took off in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, it exploded. I mean, you had, what years that the big camo manufacturers really started? It had to be in the late 80s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is late 80s, where you started to see the big names.
Yeah, the real trees and the mossy oaks and whatnot. But that industry has exploded, and it's a monster now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and even though it is, I mean, it's small. I know that don't make a lot of sense, but talking to somebody I've never talked to in my life the other day, dealing with a game camera, I mean, we knew, most of the same people. Never talked to that lady in my life.
Yeah.
But just both been in it for a while and knew all the same folks.
Yep.
So.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I think too, even if you go even further along, you look now. I mean, before, if you wanted something on TV for people, the general public, to be able to watch it on cable or whatever, you're approaching a big network.
Oh yeah.
And having to pay a substantial amount of money
For that channel
to get
Right.
that network to air your stuff. And that's not the case now at all.
No.
I mean, there's still some of these networks out there, and they still put out really cool shows and that sort of thing. But, I mean, this podcast is a great example where you can start a YouTube channel for nothing.
Yep.
Throw your stuff on there, and if people like it and people it resonates with them, then they'll watch it. And then your popularity grows, and you have more options to do stuff. So,
the television age, I think, is kind of dying.
It's
The cable
phasing out.
television.
Yeah.
So I know there's still channels out there. I don't expect them to make it a whole lot longer.
it's just so catered. Like you can get exactly what you want now. Before it was just like, here's the plate.
Yep.
Eat from it whatever you like, and whatever you don't like.
Here's the
just stay on the plate.
$180 option per month.
Yeah.
Here's the $220 option per month,
Yeah.
and here's the most expensive one.
And it's like
Here you go. And you're like, nah,
No,
not to
it's
watch that.
now you can get a subscription to a couple different services and hand pick. I want to watch this, this, and this, and I can watch it whenever I want to watch it. It's on my own time. You know, I can binge and watch the whole season in one night or
But
whatever.
I know
So,
in high school and in college, I mean, we didn't sit around and wait on them to come out, but every time Realtree Monster Bucks came out,
Oh my gosh, yes.
or Primo's Truth About Hunting came
Yes.
out, we were at Walmart getting that tape
video
or that DVD.
VHS.
Yeah, it started out on VHS, and by gosh, me and some of our buddies were sitting around watching.
We'd binge watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Just
know
talk-
we weren't buddies back then, but we did the
We ain't
same
buddies
thing.
now.
Well, shut up.
Just but yeah, I mean, we did. We binge watch it, and look, you'd watch them over and over,
Yep.
just dreaming about that.
Killing 140 or 50-inch deer like what those guys were doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
and then it starts becoming, a reality because management is expanding, and now management has expanded even more. More people are managing today than they ever have. But you've also seen I think you've seen a greater divide now than you probably ever have between hunters themselves.
Yep.
And we are by far our own worst enemy.
absolutely, 100%.
If we could kind of group up, then I think we could handle a lot of the anti-activity. But because still hunters want to be against dog hunters, and dog hunters don't want, just the plethora of everything, we've separated ourselves out with these little bitty microchasms of differences
Yep.
and turned them into something that's huge.
Big deals.
Yeah, and
Real
really
big deals.
it's not.
Yep.
Not something a little bit of communication can't handle.
That's why I push cooperatives and communication so
Yep.
much. Y'all hear me say it all the time.
Yep.
Make you want to just like grab people by the face and go, like, do you want to continue hunting?
Yes.
Yes, I do. All right, can we be on the same team here?
Yep.
Like, can we just get together?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
if you don't stop and this guy doesn't stop doing his thing, we start pulling in opposite directions, we're not going to have this anymore. You know, it's
Well, a perfect example is occurring on some more property that Matt and I know fairly well down South Alabama. There's a big piece of property that's being sold now, and it's being bought up by some individuals that the whole purpose of them buying it is to get rid of the people that's on it.
yep.
I mean, you've got people spending mega money because they can't get along with their neighbor.
Yep. If I'll go broke trying to just make sure that somebody else isn't over here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
whatever.
and look, part of it I get. Matt and I try to manage what we hunt as good as we can. I've got some places here that's got a deer or two, and I can't manage them, so I put all my eggs in the basket over that way. But communicating with your neighbors and getting along would go a long way about, keeping our, the culture, the camaraderie, and enjoying the time together. It would go a long way toward kind of fixing that.
Yeah. Well, I think some people get so caught up in, what they're trying to accomplish on their property. And I'm going to use the examples of, trophy hunters versus just the guy who wants to shoot a quality buck. And I think there's a difference. There's a
There
difference
is a
between
difference.
quality deer and trophy deer.
Yep.
And you get a lot of conflict there. And I think a lot of times if the trophy hunters would just understand and stop back and think for a second, I'm making such a big deal out of a calcium deposit
Right.
on the top of a deer's head
Yep.
that I can't get along with anybody. And then the other guys, the quality managers, are just like, well, I'm just going to shoot anything I want just to get under his skin. And,
That's
and
where the problem
you
comes
never
in.
get anywhere.
Uh-uh.
You never get anywhere with either one of them, you know. So I just think that people need to say, hey, look, this is what we're trying to do. We want to try to grow some trophy deer. You can join us or you can not join us. I'm just
Right.
letting you know what we're doing. We're going to have a good time regardless.
Yep.
that goes a whole lot more than I wish y'all would quit shooting them deadgum 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
What are you accomplishing by telling somebody that? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
If
making your life miserable.
Yes, yes.
You are, but and then from the other side, you've got the guys that don't thumb your nose at them, just and start shooting things that you probably wouldn't just to get under their skin.
Exactly.
'Cause
Exactly. There's
that
fault on both
happens.
sides.
Yes, that happens a lot.
It does happen a lot.
And one of the things that I saw as a leash manager years ago is if folks knew that they weren't going to have that land next year, oh, son, it was on.
It's on.
Oh, yeah.
They killed
Bloodbath.
every animal that moved.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, I've got
Squirrels,
stories.
armadillos, coons, turkeys, deer,
Yeah, I mean,
what have you.
we had a lease that was kind of in the Jackson County area, and part of it was fenced in before you got to the big woods and kind of mountainside of it. And early season, or actually, I'm sorry, preseason, one day we were just going to go scout, and there was a guy out there stacking up cattle gates on a trailer. Oh, I guess he's moving his cow somewhere, whatever. And talked to the guy, and he said, "Boys, y'all hadn't heard? Y'all ain't got the news yet?" And I was like, "No. What do you mean?" And he said, "You're not going to have this next year. This is going to become state land next year. So if I were you, if you saw a deer that you wanted to shoot this year, I believe I'd shoot him. Because it's not that you can't hunt it next year, but you and everybody else in the world can hunt it next year. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Right.
And so that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You hunting on the Jacobs Mountain track then?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yep. It was our lease for a year, and then it became Forever Wild.
Yep.
Yep. So.
That's a good track.
Oh yeah, we loved it for the year that we had it. I mean.
Yep.
I can't think of a single time that I sat and didn't see deer. Of course, I mean I didn't shoot, but maybe 2 off the whole the whole season. But it was just a really cool place. But kind of along that same spirit there, I think you make this other big culture change that I think sort of even has impacted like southern hunting culture too. Is that you have the introduction of game cameras, and I don't mean cell cameras. I just mean
Game cameras.
a
Yep,
game
just
camera
game
that will
cameras
take
in
a
general.
picture that you either had to go. I mean, some of those, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't even take SD cards. They took like other forms of.
I have got a non-typical camera that I had in high school, and it takes the 35 millimeter
Film.
roll.
Film.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still got some of them laying
I
around.
mean, like
Then we went to the
Walmart.
what was called the compact flash card,
Yep.
the square one,
Yep.
and then it has evolved into more and more and more.
No,
and
I
more.
remember going to Walmart with the 35 millimeter roll and dropping it off,
Absolutely.
and I just could not wait
yes.
to go back and pick that up.
And you had
it was like
the-
Christmas.
And you had the first 24 pictures of the first doe that stuck her nose in the corn.
over and over and over again.
Yep.
Yep.
and those would actually flash like
They
a
did.
poof,
Oh, yeah.
like a big
White flash.
But I mean, when that
There's
started,
kids listening to this that have no idea what
No,
that
they don't
is.
have a clue what we're talking about.
well, just trust us, guys. It
Yeah.
happened. But I mean, those things happen, and when that gets introduced and is legal in virtually every state,
Most places.
most
Yeah.
places,
Several states have since outlawed them.
Yep,
Yep.
they have.
And I think that's coming to more.
Yep.
I do too.
Alabama attempted it on public land.
On WMAs at certain times of the year.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't
I
think it
believe
got put
Arizona
in.
currently Arizona has it
Yep.
Yeah.
outlawed.
I think.
Well, I know why out there.
Oh yeah.
I could see how it could be a very big problem out there.
Yeah.
Talking to some of the guides at elk hunt, guided elk hunts and mule deer out there, but
Mhm.
it got to be a big problem. There were bidding wars over certain elk and certain mule deer on public land because of what people had on trail cameras, and
That's right.
it led to some major issues.
Right. And so, I mean, that happens, and that further makes people a little more specific, on what they harvest or,
And heaven forbid you be an Alabamian in the 90s or early 2000s and hunt with a crossbow.
Oh yeah,
You would have been crucified.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still not popular.
No, it's not.
No, but I do remember when it went from being handicapped only to
Yes.
everybody. It was a big deal.
Yep.
Oh, hey.
And everybody still wants it removed from archery season.
Yeah.
Yes.
I say everybody.
But
All your
Yes.
diehard bow hunters want it removed.
I wish that I had the numbers that Ohio, I think it was Ohio. I want to say it was. Please don't quote me on this. Here I am on a dang podcast.
Yeah.
There was a Midwestern state or one kind of along the Appalachian area when they legalized crossbows for everybody. Their archery harvest rates went through the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look, they are efficient killing machines.
Like
There's
to
no
the
doubt.
point that they were like, did we make the right decision?
Yeah.
Like so many people are killing deer with archery equipment now
Yep.
that this could lead to some very negative consequences.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not picking on crossbows or
No.
crossbow hunters. I do not like the fact that it's in with archery. I mean, for crying out loud, we've got muzzleloaders that are capable of shooting
200 plus yards.
ridiculous
Yep.
now. They're not in rifle season. Let's chop that thing
well,
off.
I mean, that's the thing. I think the biggest difference is I can take a crossbow, assuming it's dialed in, you
Yep.
know, I can shoot it. I can hand it to my 7-year-old. He can then shoot it
Yep.
and be just as accurate, just as deadly, whatever.
And I
now-
think that's part of what people like about them is it does give more opportunity to folks that can't
Sure,
with
absolutely.
archery equipment, but
The difference is I can't hand my bow. I can't hand my bow to you. I can't
No.
hand my bow to anybody else.
It is your bow.
Yes, and that's where the
that's the
differences
rub.
are.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And so it's not that they're evil or anything like that, but it's just like let's not get. We cannot say that these are the same things because they are clearly not.
Right. Well, and you had all these states when what's that thing called, the draw lock,
Yes.
when it came out. Nope, we're not going to have it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's
I
going
know
to
what
be
you're talking about.
illegal,
Yep.
or it's going to have its own set
Yep,
season.
that's right.
All it is a crossbow, vertical.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, it's a bow with the string locked backwards.
Yep, that's right.
It's got an arrow in it. Okay, let's be intellectually honest here.
Yeah.
If you turn it over this way, it's a crossbow.
That's exactly
If
what
you
it
turn
is.
it up this way, it's a vertical bow.
That's right.
And it's locked back in the firing position.
Yeah,
I remember the first time I ever saw one of those things.
Crazy.
I saw a kid shoot one, and he basically puts his feet on the riser and pulls the thing back and cocks it just like you would do a crossbow.
Yep.
And then he stands up, puts his release on, and
Yeah, well, and see, that's part of what I saw that kind of rubbed me with it. They had them at the Birmingham Deer Show
Yeah.
when it was still a deer show. You know, of course, the draw locks a long time ago.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
anyway. But they drew the bow and then handed it to somebody else to shoot. And I'm like, yeah, that just
Negative.
that.
No.
These two things aren't the same.
Nope.
Nope.
They're definitely not. And I understand.
Oh, I completely understand the purpose.
Well,
But
I understand the mentality too of giving kids an opportunity, but I also see the importance of making a child learn that hard work is what gets you success.
Yeah.
I don't think we should necessarily be making things easier for kids by handing them a crossbow and saying, now you can hunt an archery season when you're 6.
right,
I don't like that.
keep shooting them with a rifle.
Right. My kids are going to learn how to shoot a bow, and they're not going to be taking a bow to the woods until they can shoot a vertical bow, period. Now, that's just me,
Yeah,
because
you
I
do,
want –
yeah, y'all do y'all.
Right.
We do we.
We do we, yeah.
We do we.
But I mean, I like the importance of teaching, patience and hard work, rather than there's something that we can put in your hands to go shoot a deer with at
Sure.
that age. But
That's right. But I think that's also, that's around the same lines of like we have game cameras and now we've got crossbows. And so both of those things kind of coming together, and then kind of the next thing that happens is we end up where we are today, where we have cell cameras. Now we don't have to go to our camera and pull a card or film or whatever
It comes
and
to
see
you,
what's on
yep.
it. It just dings and it hits
With-
your phone.
Yep.
And
With
that kind of
feeders, with timers.
and that's what I was going to say. And now legal baiting in some states, not all, but
Yep.
in at least in Alabama, I know in Mississippi, it can't be. What's the deal? It can't be on the ground. It has to be off the ground or something.
I think they've changed their minds a time or two. Haven't
They've changed several things up. At one point in time, it had to be. It was kind of like Alabama, where it had to be 100 yards. Then they went to it can't be scattered on the ground.
Mm-hmm. I don't honestly know what it is.
I don't either. It's been years since I've deer hunted in Mississippi. But, I've often said that Jeremy was bringing to the differences and the distinction between South Alabama and the rest of the state on land ownership, property and all. And I think that cell cameras with baiting and a 3-month rifle season is a terrible combination for areas of the state that have small land ownerships over large acreages.
It's terrible.
It is terrible. And I just don't think there was a whole lot of thought put into the combination of those 3 factors all being implemented about the same time.
No, I don't either.
This is I really am. I was super surprised. I thought there's no way that we would be able to harvest 3 bucks per season, have a 3-month-long rifle season, and have legal baiting and cell cameras. Like one of those is going to have to go.
Well,
but
I think
they're all still here.
I think the big push. Well, I know the big push right now from our folks. I mean, you can follow social media very easily, and by our folks, I mean folks in Alabama. They want to see us go to a $1.
Yep, they do.
There's a humongous push.
I don't agree with that.
Out there on social media to go $1.
It's preposterous.
Well, see,
I don't like it.
Inconceivable.
I had much rather change up regulation on items that you can use as a tool versus
or season structure.
Yes.
Then I agree.
or start removing bucks, from the option of being harvested.
Yep.
Going to a $1 state, I don't think really does anything for us biologically. Or, I mean, look, from a management perspective, if you can only kill 1 buck, are there going to be more bucks that are in older age classes on the landscape? Likely. But, I mean, you still got all the other additive mortality influencers out there, vehicles, illness, weather, the whole 9, all the predators.
I don't think with a 1 buck limit we could kill enough deer.
I don't know that you could either.
I don't think you could.
In places.
In places, yeah.
Yep.
Up here, you could.
Right.
You can still kill the only deer.
Yeah, but if we were limited to managing what we have to hunt and all of us could kill 1 deer, we can't manage it. There's nothing there. I mean,
especially not in populations like
you
what
would
we
see.
see.
Depredation permit applications skyrocket.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's my argument that I bring up with folks like the guy you was talking about on the forum. It was talking about South Alabama's deer population is just tanking.
Yeah.
Maybe locally.
Localized areas, but if you were able to poll farmers and whether or not they're seeing more deer damage now versus 10, 15 years ago, it's more now.
They're going to tell you more.
Yeah. And the depredation permits were increasing on an annual basis. I'm not responsible for them anymore, so I don't have any idea now. But I would assume if they're still doing it the way we did it, that they're still increasing in numbers.
Yeah.
So look, when you've got row crop in an area that's closed canopy forest, whether it be pine or hardwood, you're going to have the deer. I mean, you've got artificially inflated populations on those row crops until acorns fall or the crop comes out.
Yep.
It's just fact of life. You're going to have to deal with it.
And then those deer will distribute away from that crop.
Yep.
At that time.
So you can negatively impact populations that way if somebody's not doing depredation permits the right way. But just seeing the number of them that we still see, I can't fathom that there's a deer problem by and large, overall.
I mean, the people that are pushing for $1, my question would be, okay, like what are you what's the goal? Like, what are you wanting to happen that isn't happening now? Is it
Yeah.
you want bigger deer here?
They do.
That's generally
that's
it.
the
Well,
answer.
I can
okay,
tell you.
I feel like that's fine. Like, if you want bigger deer here, whatever. I'm all for it. But I don't think the way you do that is by saying you cannot harvest. You can only harvest one buck. What if? And I know people will hate me for this. What if we scale back that centerfire rifle season?
I'm all for it.
Amen.
I'm
what
all
if,
for it.
What if?
Let's
instead
chop
of-
all of December out of it.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, can we?
You know, except for areas that's a rut. I love how the state decided to leave rifles in, or bring the hunts in to where rifle or the rut was. Like southeast Alabama, they've got that period that they can hunt with a rifle that's early.
Yep.
How early is that?
I don't remember.
It was real early that they could hunt with a rifle.
Yeah. I know, even like in, I believe, Tennessee, if you want to hunt the velvet hunt,
Yeah.
you can hunt velvet deer with a rifle.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Man, you're talking about September.
Crap on that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is if you're trying to impact, I want bigger, older deer. I want, more calcium deposits on his head.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Okay, then the population of deer are not going to suffer necessarily if you take less of them. You know what I mean? That's whatever. But like you said, you'd have management issues. But if you scale back that rifle season, by and large, you will kill less deer.
Amen.
Period. You will less of them will get shot. Therefore, there's a higher likelihood of more of them reaching maturity. So
In all game populations, it don't
Yes,
matter what they
yes.
are, if you lessen the days of opportunity, you have a bigger impact than lowering bag limits.
yes,
Yep.
absolutely. That's the best way to put it.
Doesn't matter what the species.
Yes. So
Yep.
that's kind of what I'm. Sorry, I'm just trying to see what this is going on.
He's trying to sell land too.
Yeah.
No,
I haven't sold any land
No, I
today.
hadn't sold nothing today. I've lost money today. Actually, I didn't. I did get paid for something earlier today.
I wish
so
I
that's
got
good.
paid today.
I got a text where I owe a big chunk.
Well, I owe money.
I lost money.
I got to write you a check before leaving today. So.
There you go. But anyway, all that to say, I think that there's other ways around that. There's things you can accomplish the same goal without
Yep.
sacrificing other stuff like that. But
And the crazy thing is, look, we're not necessarily bad mouthing corn or cameras or anything else.
No, I mean, I use that stuff.
Absolutely.
We use them, but I would be perfectly okay if it was outlawed tomorrow.
Yeah, I would go right back to hunting the way I used to
Yep.
and be perfectly fine.
yeah.
Probably happier.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I mean, I've got friends that rely, when I say like study their cameras,
Yep.
I'm talking about like, you have no idea. Like,
I sure I do.
Obsessed.
Look to the right.
Like, it's to the point where like, hey man, I'm off work, you're off work. Hey, you want to go hunt this weekend? Oh no, I don't have anything showing up on my camera. I'm not gonna hunt today. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, like, are we that far gone that
Yes,
like
sir.
Yes.
that like
Yes.
I'm not even gonna go step in the woods
Look,
because my cameras don't show.
There is a
anything on it? Can we
percentage
just
of
go-
hunters that are so in tune with their cameras and so dissatisfied with the hunting that the cameras are a bigger letdown than they are excitement.
Yeah, and
Because they don't see what they're after on camera, so their whole season's ruined because I don't have anything that I want to shoot. I'm just not going.
Yeah.
and
That's a sad state to be in.
yes, man,
It
like
is.
I'm just like, look,
But I do get it
Oh, I get it. I do get it.
from a time invested standpoint.
Right. It's a waste of time because I
Yep.
know there's not anything out there
Well,
that I want to kill.
You know, I'm a perfect example, but I still go hunting just to hunt.
yes,
But like my place over there ain't a deer over worth that I want to spend any time on.
Right.
hunting. I'll let somebody else go over and shoot anything they want to shoot. But I'm not going to spend any time over there.
yeah.
And that's just kind of where I'm at today.
Yep.
You know, next year I may be hell on wheels after anything that moves, but I just have so little time to devote to it now that I try to chase something that's the best opportunity, not the biggest deer, but the best opportunity.
And that's kind of
if I've got
that's
deer
kind of what I do too.
that's showing up that I'm like, okay, well, there's a legitimate opportunity I might see that deer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. But if I've got cameras all over the place and the deer's not daylighting, he's always midnight, 1 o'clock, then I may wait till some type of condition changes and go then. I mean, we could have been hunting this week, but my gosh, who wants to hunt when it's 80 degrees?
I have people ask me every day, "Are you hunting?" I'm like, "No, I'm not fooling with it. It's too hot. I'm not going to fool with it. I don't want to go. I'm tired of wiping sweat off my brow all afternoon until the sun goes down." And I don't know what has happened, but a lot of the bucks that we would have killed are just not on camera right now. So my point being,
they may be there.
They're there.
Yeah.
They're just not on camera.
Right. And I guess that's my thing is like, I don't mean it for the sake of targeting specific deer. I mean it from a perspective of like, why do we do any of this? Do you feel like cell cameras have kind of ruined it as far as just like why did it, we said earlier, it's a social aspect. It's fun. Like this is all supposed to be fun.
It's not a social aspect anymore.
No.
It's a me aspect.
Yes. I believe the feeders and the cameras have turned it into more of a me. But I think, just me personally, it has got to do with that particular person's personality.
Yep.
I think there are other people their predisposition is it don't matter what the crap's on camera, they're gonna go hunt.
Yes. Yes.
And
they're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, that's me. Like, hey, don't get me wrong. If there's nothing showing up on camera, and I have a property like you, hey, this is 2.5, 3 hours away from home, and I don't have anything showing up right there, well, I'm maybe not as inclined to go.
That's right.
But if I have something that's maybe a little closer to home,
oh yeah,
and oh my gosh, man, I didn't think I was going to be off today. I'm off. I'm gonna go get in the woods. You know what I mean? Like I guess there's probably the location has to be factored into some of that.
Perfect example is my hunt. Last week, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago now. I carried my stuff, but I was over there to work with him.
Yeah, we were working.
Do some projects, and we got done early. Wasn't able to do something on that particular day.
And I begged him to go hunting.
Yeah, and I'm like, I looked at him. I was like, I don't have time. But honestly, I didn't have on these clothes, but I had on a pair of black pants and a white button-up shirt.
Yeah.
And I threw on the old mossy oak leafy suit over the top of that, and off I went.
Yep.
Smelling like whatever I smelled like. Mm-hmm. We had a good game plan, and I was all right with it. And no deer on camera. Matt and Caleb know what deer's on camera over there. I don't. I hadn't had any up. Mm-hmm. And I send both of y'all a picture of that deer in my screen where I'm filming him. And next thing Matt says back, shoot that deer. Yeah. He's old enough.
Yeah, shoot that
I'm
deer.
like, he's too far away and done gone. But yeah, I didn't have a clue.
Right. That's what I mean.
And enjoyed the heck out of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the best hunts, honestly. Sometimes the best hunts are going in blind with no expectations. Then when you do kill a good deer, it's very meaningful.
Well, yeah.
It means a whole lot more.
And I don't know, maybe this is like the whole ignorance is bliss type, mentality, but like part of me is like, I want to be surprised. Mm-hmm. I want to show up and, oh my gosh, something came trotting out here. That's awesome. But if I was running cameras the whole time, it's like, I don't know, maybe something will show up, maybe it won't, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know. I mean, I do think it's all this stuff is all opinion and it's all preference.
It is.
I get it. But, we mentioned the very first thing, how hunting kind of started is it was just a social thing. This was what people did, is how people had fun. Mm-hmm. And like, that's
together,
what
it was families and friends that got together.
Yeah. And like, honestly, that's what I think as far, even just from like being a kid, like Jackson County, like B&G, there is cabins up there that were basically house trailers and they're just stacked in there everybody goes to hunt that morning, comes back at
Everybody
lunch.
comes back.
Everybody goes out that evening, and they come back. What'd you kill? What'd you shoot? What'd you see? Everybody's telling stories. Hey, we're
Sitting around the fire.
We're throwing something on the grill. Everybody come over. You know what I mean? Like, that is fun. That's the best. I mean, that's awesome. And there's, I don't know, at least for me personally, it's just like less and less and less of that happening.
Well, the
now,
guys that hunt with me over next to Matt on the place I've got, I mean, look, I don't ask them to pay anything. They don't. It don't cost them anything to hunt. But both of them, you're like, you want to go hunt? And they're like, I can't get away. And now
That's a lot.
And I think that's one of the biggest problems.
It
is folks are so busy that they use these things as crutches.
Yep.
It's just I don't have time to scout. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to plant food plots. I'm gonna put a camera up on corn, and
when I get deer on camera,
that's
I'll go.
when I'm gonna go.
Yep. And that time is the issue with a lot of people.
Yep.
I mean, I don't have the time to do preseason scouting and stuff like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I used to spend as many hours in the woods before season came in as I did when season was here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I already know, just from hunting some of the same properties for years, I know where I can go at certain times of year and have a pretty good chance at seeing a good deer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't do all that preseason scouting. But even if I was hunting new areas, I don't have the time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Family and sports activities and things going on in town and all these things. I mean, it's just, it all adds up, and I don't know how people do it with traveling. Thankfully, I don't have to travel to hunt.
Yeah.
And I scratch my head all the time, and I think, how do these people pay $1,200 to $3,500 a year to drive 3.5 hours and stay in a camp house maybe 2 or 3 weekends? How do they justify doing that?
Oh, you can't justify.
And people do it every day.
Oh, yeah. Do it all the time.
They do it every day. And I mean, like I said, thankfully, if I get home early, I can go hunt at the house.
Yep.
Well, there's just no justification anymore. I mean, we spend, and I'm no different, but we spend thousands every year leasing, managing, buying gear, doing what we do. You kill the deer, then you spend $1,000 on mounting it, putting it on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It's just tremendously expensive.
It certainly is.
If you're doing it like we do. If if you're public land, it can still be tremendously expensive because the travel and the time and the gear. You're just not having to deal with the lease. But our sport has changed a lot. Then we're killing better deer than we probably ever have, as far as on the landscape level and the numbers.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of 3 to 5 year old bucks getting killed.
Yep, but it's and I think the corn and the cameras and the arms and ammunition that we're using are more efficient than they've ever been, and so it's made us more successful. Mm-hmm. But I don't think as a group hunters enjoy the hunt and the camaraderie of it as much as they used to.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that falls back on time again, because I can't tell you how many times I've killed a deer and then I'll go like, crap, I've shot a deer. I don't have time to fool with it.
Yeah.
I certainly don't have time to go to a camp and fellowship with people and grill steaks for 2 or 3 hours before going home. We just all have responsibilities.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think we have lost a lot of that. Hunting is, which for me, I'm a little bit different. I didn't grow up in an environment where hunting was a social event. I hunted with my dad, and that's it. And there was, another father and his son, and we grew up together and we hunted together. But
well, that's just because nobody liked you.
Well, it may have been. I didn't like anybody else either.
Killed too many
but
deer.
I wasn't a social person even growing up. I retreated to the woods to get away from people. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of a recluse, and that's kind of what now. I enjoy turkey hunting with people.
Yeah.
But I don't enjoy deer hunting with people. It's just for me.
See,
it's just for me.
I enjoy hunting by myself.
I love it.
But I enjoy going with people. I'm a social.
I do
side
enjoy
of
hunting
it.
with you, Jeremy. I do.
When's the last time we hunted together?
We're going to this year.
Yeah. Primarily turkey hunting.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he will run one off.
That's
Gosh,
not true.
he's
gonna
That's
get
not
hungry.
true.
Well, yeah, and he'll just booger you up on purpose too.
That wasn't on purpose.
Um,
We've already been through that story on this
I
podcast.
know.
So let it go.
I know.
Let it obviously burned a lot because he
did.
still brings it up.
Yep. Yep.
No, but I mean, I'm sort of the same way to a degree. For my birthday every year, usually that's what I do. It's like I'm taking the day off. I'm going hunting by myself.
Yep.
I'm just going to go relax, and if something happens, that's great.
If you ask my wife why I go over there, of course she wants to be funny at first and say it's just to see Matthew, but it's not. She'll be like, "Why do you spend so much time at Chuck and Beth's?" That's his parents.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I am not in the woods, I'm hanging out with his parents.
Yeah, they
not
do.
not even him. I'm hanging out with his parents.
I joke about it, and I'm like, Jeremy's going to inherit more of my inheritance than I am because they'll probably leave him more than they do me.
There you go.
But me and Chuck and Miss Beth, we have a big time, and you know that's part of what I enjoy about it. Now, I like I said, I still love hunting, but I miss Kyle and Cody coming over and all of us hunting and hanging out. But it's like you say, you know, life gets in the way. But that's exactly, and my wife, of course, she don't listen to this podcast, but that's the exact reason that I don't hunt anywhere close, other than the fact we don't have any deer.
Yeah, that's a big contributor.
Yeah, it's big contributor. I could pick up a few places and hunt around here.
Yeah.
I would be happy doing it. But if I'm close to here, I'm not going to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be something that comes up that I've got to handle.
Mm-hmm.
So I prefer, even if it's just a couple, 3 days, I prefer to load my stuff up, leave, so that I can't
Be distracted.
Yeah.
You can't be distracted.
Yeah, and of course Mary gets left doing some farm chores sometimes, and that's why we got all new fences. She had to chase some cows more than once when I wasn't around.
She's like, I ain't doing this no more.
Yep. But that's part of why I want to hunt somewhere that's not right next to the house.
No, and I just think that it's weird. Like, I enjoy the after the hunt. You know, come home.
Oh, me
Or,
too.
you know, go or come back to camp and talk and all that kind of stuff, and throw something on the grill or whatever. But I don't know. I kind of got to a point where, like, all right, if I'm gonna hunt, I'm gonna have to hunt by myself.
Yeah.
Because there's just, like you said, everybody's busy. Everybody's got you know what I
Yeah.
mean. And these big clubs and, you know, big giant places where there were lots of members, those are kind of going away, or it seems like there's less of them now. And so it's just, you know what I mean? It is kind of a weird deal. Hey, you can be both. You can want to recluse, and then you also
Yeah.
kind of want to socialize at the same time. But
Well, the whole deal is it's going to continue to evolve, and everybody else will too. I do wish we would kind of pull the reins back on some of the technology.
yeah,
Yep, I do too.
But and now,
and it's coming. I think eventually
Yeah.
it will have to be
and
done.
it will, and part of it's money. You know,
Oh, yeah.
sure.
they want to sell the feeders, they want to sell the cameras and sell baiting privileges and that whole ordeal.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. Well, that's kind of a journey through time there as the Southern hunting has evolved. That's about going to wrap things up.
Yeah, we went from deer a long time ago
Yeah,
to
to
no deer to way too many deer. Now people think we don't have enough deer, but we got plenty. So we'll see where we're at in 10 years from now.
yeah. We'll check back in about 10 years and see what we got going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And hopefully, is this going to be, regardless, this episode is going to be out after the election.
Oh,
yeah,
mercy.
I guess it will.
Fingers crossed.
I did not.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
not,
The world
think about
goes
that.
the way it needs to go, and I don't care if I make some of y'all mad.
No.
I highly doubt you make anybody mad on this podcast.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
If you're listening to this.
Yeah.
But
If you're listening to this, you're probably a Harris supporter like Taylor and Matt.
No comment. No. Guys, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. We're right here at an hour, so
Softball time, baby.
it is. Yeah,
It's
You
all.
don't have a whole lot of time.
It's all about the softball
Yep.
instead of the
Priorities.
acorns today.
Yep.
But guys, again, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, any suggestions, by the way, if there's topics, things that you want us to kind of spend some
Yeah.
time talking about, feel free to shoot them our way. info@thesouthernu.com, or you can reach us through Instagram as well on Messenger that way. Shoot us a DM.
Yeah, but say it again. We do consulting to
Consulting.
the public.
That's right.
I sell land.
Yep.
Hey, if you need somebody to represent your property in Alabama, I can do it, or I can get you a good agent that you can stand by that can handle it.
That's right.
If you need marketing,
Hey, there you go.
Taylor's the man.
There you go. Yeah, we try around here. And and if you need
Obviously, it's working.
yeah,
It must be.
trying.
Hey, it must be. He handles all my marketing, and I can't keep property. So anyway,
That's good. That's probably a product of the environment, not so much me.
give yourself a little credit. I was trying.
There you go. We'll take all we can get around here. So we appreciate you guys.
Yep.
Please like, share, comment.
Hey, and send us those hero shots.
That's right.
Yeah,
you
we'd love to
guys-
see them.
You guys put something on the
or
ground.
tag us to hero shots. Send them to us. We'll post hero shots up.
Absolutely.
I love seeing them.
Yep.
Especially kids.
That's right,
Yep.
man. You anything you're putting on the ground, we want
Kids
to know
with
about it.
crossbows. We'll even post kids
Yeah,
with
yeah.
crossbows.
Hey, look,
Yeah.
look. Let's get outside the norm. Let's have kids and women send us their hero shots.
Yep.
If you're a dude, okay, fine.
Yeah, just whatever is on the ground and whoever did it,
Yeah.
Yep.
we'll post it.
Eventually, we'll get Matt and his spike on there.
Maybe. I have
Yeah.
not given y'all the footage yet.
Yet.
Hey,
Keyword.
it's a cool picture when the hero shot's like this, and you can see
Now,
nothing.
there ain't no hero shot. I didn't take a picture of it. I cleaned it and I disposed of it.
That's
it's
funny.
There's no pictures. There's video of me shooting it.
Hey, if you guys want to see Matt kill another spike on camera, I want you leave
Yeah,
us
hit
a
us
comment.
up.
Yeah, hit us
Another?
up. Yeah.
Another? It ain't
He
happening.
ain't doing it.
No.
He was so tore up when he told me. He said, "Jeremy," he said, "I've only got $2 left. You know how many places I've got to hunt?" I
Jeez.
was like, "You turd."
Let's be nice. Well, guys, we
Yeah.
love you. We'll see
Yeah.
you on the next one.
Peace out.